Stop for a moment. Take a deep breath. What brought you here was not an algorithm, a coincidence, or a random suggestion on your screen. What brought you here was a divine frequency that aligned your mind with this exact moment. There are messages you don't look for. They find you. And if you're hearing these words right now, it's because heaven itself decided to interrupt your routine, to speak directly to your spirit. You felt it inside, haven't you? That subtle movement, that quiet shift, that sense that something in your life has started to change rhythm. Almost as if the places that once felt comfortable suddenly feel too small for who you're becoming. That's not chaos. That's not confusion. That is spiritual relocation. God is not punishing you. He is repositioning you. There are territories where your light has already completed its assignment. And when that happens, your soul begins pushing against the invisible walls of routine, calling you into something higher. That discomfort you feel, that restlessness you cannot explain, that inner pull towards something you can't yet name, is the silent awakening of purpose. In realms you cannot see, your name has been spoken. A new coordinate has been activated, and everything around you is beginning to rearrange itself accordingly. People drift away. Doors stop responding. Opportunities pause. Not because your life is falling apart, but because heaven is reorganizing the map of your destiny. Napoleon Hill taught that the mind always obeys the dominant emotion. When fear leads, your reality shrinks. But when faith takes the wheel, the universe moves like a perfectly aligned mechanism. And today, as you listen to these words, something inside you is receiving a new mental and spiritual command. Trust. Move. Let the shift happen. Ask yourself something powerful. What if this video is not an accident? What if this moment is the direct answer to your last prayer? What if the discomfort you've been feeling is the very language God uses to prepare you for something greater? Close your eyes for a few seconds. Imagine a thread of light descending gently over your head and weaving itself softly around your chest. That thread represents the connection between your personal mind and the universal mind. And as you listen, that connection grows stronger. This, right here, right now, is your point of beginning. Your new life does not start somewhere far away. It begins inside you in this exact second. Tell me, have you ever felt like everything suddenly stopped without explanation? Plans freeze. Doors refuse to open. People who once felt close begin to fade like mist. That silence that feels like punishment is actually a recalibration. God didn't lock you in. He's reprogramming you. When the soul shifts into a new season, the first thing that changes is the environment. It's as if life puts you into a narrow hallway, a spiritual corridor where you cannot run, cannot go back, cannot distract yourself. In that corridor, there is no crowd, no applause, no noise, only your breath, and the inner voice whispering, keep walking, trust the path. And in that hallway, your convictions are tested. What used to motivate you no longer moves you. Conversations that once energized you now drain you. Places you used to enjoy no longer reflect who you're becoming. You're not losing anything. You're shedding. Growth doesn't always look like expansion. Sometimes it looks like reduction, like everything is tightening, like life is squeezing you into a smaller space. But every contraction is the preparation for a spiritual birth. Nothing is being taken from you. Everything is being rearranged for you. God removes the noise, so you can hear the exact note of your purpose. Napoleon Hill taught that what we call failure is simply the moment someone decides to stop. But in truth, progress is born from the quietest points of a journey. Those moments where nothing moves outside, but everything is rearranging inside. Maybe today you feel the weight of uncertainty. Maybe you fear losing control. Maybe your soul whispers, why isn't what used to work working anymore? And the answer echoes softly, because those tools were meant for the older version of you. The pressure you feel didn't come to destroy you. It came to birth a new mind. Inside every difficulty, there is a hidden passage. Only those who refuse to quit discover the door that isn't seen, the door that opens not with force, but with serenity. Ask yourself right now, what part of my life feels like it's shrinking? simply because its mission is complete? What habit, relationship, or routine no longer vibrates with the person I'm becoming? Breathe deeply. Imagine yourself walking down a stone corridor carved in silence. It feels tight at first, almost suffocating. But when you walk just 2 steps further, a thin line of light begins outlining the exit. That light is not at the end. It appears because you moved. Every step taken in faith expands the path. Every thought of trust turns darkness into clarity. And one day, without warning, you realize the hallway wasn't a prison. It was a birth canal. The soul that passes through it emerges lighter, clearer, more aware of its worth. So if life feels like it's pressing you right now, don't resist it. Heaven is not pushing you toward the edge. Heaven is pushing you toward expansion. The invisible hallway didn't come to scare you. It came to shape you. And before we continue, if this message is warming something inside you, don't ignore it. Like this video and subscribe to Napoleon Inspires. Because here we don't just talk about faith, we activate it. Every word shared in this space is a seed of consciousness, and your support allows this light to reach more souls who desperately need it. When everything around you feels confusing, God activates a compass inside of you. It doesn't have numbers or arrows, but it can recognize with absolute precision what direction your peace is pointing to. Your mind can doubt, your logic can argue, your anxiety can scream, but your soul never gets it wrong. When peace remains, that quiet calm you feel after you pray, after you cry, after you finally let go, that is not weakness. That is the finest language of the spirit. It's like a subtle note vibrating in the background of your chest, whispering, "This way, yes, here." We ask God for external signs, a message, a phone call, a coincidence, a door that opens. And yet, so often the clearest sign is the serenity that remains. After all the noise turns off, peace doesn't shout, it stays. And that persistence is what makes it divine. Napoleon Hill said, "The mind becomes what it contemplates with emotion." So when you choose thoughts that create peace, you're tuning your inner compass. Every peaceful thought becomes a coordinate. Every word of faith becomes a precise direction. Don't confuse hype with confirmation. Hype fades. Peace remains. That emotional high of the moment is not always guidance. Sometimes it's distraction in disguise. But peace follows you into the silence. It comes back when the lights are off. It sits beside you when nobody else understands. Ask yourself right now, which decisions rob me of my sleep? And which decisions give me rest? Which conversations leave my mind heavy? And which ones light up my chest? Discernment is not born from overthinking. It is born from stillness. When you learn to listen without anxiety, your inner compass becomes clear as day. God is not hiding the route from you. He's teaching you to navigate with the instruments of the soul, not the instruments of fear. Imagine a sphere of light in the center of your chest, turning slowly. That sphere is your inner compass. Every time you breathe with gratitude, it pivots toward the north of your purpose. Every time you doubt yourself, shame yourself, or punish yourself, it stalls. Your practice now is to keep that light turning. With trust, the spirit doesn't shove you. It guides you. And that guidance has a name: peace. If you feel peace as you listen to these words, don't brush it off. That is not just an emotion. It's the confirmation you've been waiting for. God is not telling you, run. He's telling you, move forward calmly. Where there is peace, there is direction. There are stories that never grow old, because they're not just history. They're mirrors. The story of Moses standing before the sea is not just an ancient tale. It is a living metaphor for what happens every time fear tries to block your next step of faith. Picture that moment. People behind him, the sea in front of him, heaven apparently silent above him. No bridge, no boats, no visible exit, just an impossible space. And one clear command: walk. God didn't show Moses the sea already parted. He didn't reveal the full path first. He simply showed him his staff. Something simple, human, ordinary. And God does the same with you. While you're asking for a supernatural sign, heaven is reminding you of what you already carry. Your voice, your decision, your ability to move even while you're trembling. Fear whispers, "You don't see the ending." Faith answers, "I don't need to see the ending to take the first step." Napoleon Hill taught, any action saturated with faith creates its own channel of possibilities. The sea did not open out of random magic. It opened because a human being moved in faith. The step Moses took triggered a spiritual vibration so high that nature itself had to obey it. When the soul aligns with certainty, reality reshapes around it. That's not superstition. That's law. There is always a moment in your journey when turning back is no longer an option. That moment is not called danger. It's called obedience. You don't walk because everything is clear. You walk because you trust the one who sent you. And in that act, reality starts to rearrange. Every time you choose to move in faith, you repeat that same principle. Your personal sea, your fears, your debts, your doubts, your guilt begins to part in front of the sound of a decided mind. It's not the sea that moves first. It's your perception that expands. Ask yourself, what sea am I facing today? What is the step that scares me most and yet gives me the deepest peace? When I imagine obeying it, what staff has God placed in my hand that I still haven't used? Sometimes that staff is your voice. Sometimes it's an idea you dismissed because you fear judgment. Sometimes it's a conversation you must have, a boundary you must set, a decision you've been postponing for years. Don't wait for the perfect wind. Moses didn't wait for the perfect weather. He raised his staff and believed. His movement was the most powerful prayer he could have made. The natural mind begs for guarantees. The spiritual mind responds with movement. Faith, when translated into action, stops being a wish and becomes a creative frequency. Heaven doesn't need your perfection. It needs your willingness. Now imagine your own sea opening, not made of water, but of clouds separating ahead of you. See the paths that were blocked, quietly unfolding. Feel that clean air, that new silence, that I don't know how, but I know I'm guided stillness. That, right there, is where your real journey begins. Napoleon Hill said, "Faith is the only antidote to failure. And the greatest failure is not falling, is staying frozen." So every time you take a step without guarantees, you are applying the same principle. That turned a sea into a road. God is not asking you for speed. He's asking you for movement. And movement doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes with tears, shaking hands, and imperfect steps. But every inch you advance in faith becomes new ground that didn't exist until your foot landed there. Do it now, even if nobody sees it. Take that invisible step, because while you hesitate, the sea is still waiting for the command of your soul. The principle is simple. Move first, and heaven will open the route after. When Moses lifted his staff, heaven had already said yes. The miracle didn't begin when the water split. It began the moment a human being decided to move. That is how the invisible law of creation works. Action comes before provision. God doesn't send resources to a mind that refuses to move. The manna shows up when you walk into the desert. The direction appears when you're already walking, even if you still don't know where it leads. It's not about rushing. It's about moving with spiritual intention. The universe doesn't reward hurried panic. It responds to faith in motion. Napoleon Hill put it precisely. Nothing happens until someone acts with conviction. Here's the secret. You don't need to see the entire map. You just need to obey the coordinate for today. Your step today is the language heaven understands. A phone call, an apology, a decision, a plan finally written down, a small but honest action. Every gesture of trust opens a new gate of provision. When you move, you're not just advancing. You are waking up the systems of favor that were asleep around you. People that had forgotten you suddenly remember. Doors that seemed sealed begin to unlock. Ideas that were hiding in the shadows come back to the surface. None of that is random. Movement instructs the universe. There are blessings that don't arrive by prayer alone. They descend when you shift position. Heaven observes faith, not excuses. So often, what you call delay is not lack of help. It's lack of movement. Ask yourself now, where am I staying still? Because I'm afraid of making a mistake? What decision would give me peace? If I dare to take it today, what small step could I take? Before this day ends? God is not waiting for your perfection. He's waiting for your yes. And when you say yes, the coordinates of heaven start to adjust in your favor. Provision moves toward the obedient, not toward the paralyzed. Imagine standing in front of a massive door made of light. No handle, no visible lock. It doesn't open if you push it with force. It opens when you dare to step toward it. As you move, the door gently moves back, as if reality itself is retreating to make space for you. That is the pattern. Walk, and reality will move out of your way. Napoleon Hill said, that constant action generates a current of invisible opportunity. That current is like a spiritual river that recognizes the vibration of movement. When you act from faith, your energy emits a frequency that attracts favor, resources, and alliances. So engrave this truth in your heart. Nothing blossoms in stillness. Faith is activated by motion. Don't wait for confirmation before you move. Let your movement become your confirmation. God doesn't bless calculated doubt. He blesses aligned decision. So take the step, even if your voice shakes, even if your knees tremble. Heaven is not waiting for you to arrive perfectly secure. Heaven wants to see that you finally started walking. Every life advances at the rhythm of its environment, just as no planet floats alone, but stays in orbit by the pull of other bodies. You also move inside a system of influences. Every voice, every presence, every conversation is a form of energy entering your inner atmosphere. If you've been feeling tired for no clear reason, check your circle. Many times, it's not about what you're doing. It's about who you're doing life with. There are people who light you up and people who dim you down. Some expand your vision. Others shrink it until you start doubting yourself. God didn't design your purpose to be carried alone, but He did design it to be protected wisely. Scripture shows this again and again. Jesus didn't walk with the crowd. He walked with 12. David didn't rule alone. He surrounded himself with mighty men. Even Moses needed Aaron to speak when his voice trembled. Napoleon Hill called this a mastermind alliance, a harmony of minds, where mental energy multiplies when two or more people share the same frequency of faith. Science now calls it resonance. The Spirit calls it agreement. Ask yourself honestly, who do I share my biggest dreams with? Who celebrates my steps of obedience? And who makes fun of them? Which conversations lift me up? And which conversations drain me and poison my faith? You don't need to judge anyone. Just observe. Some circles act like expansion chambers, where your gifts can breathe and grow. Others become subtle cages, where every new dream is questioned, criticized, or delayed. God is not asking you to hate anyone. He's asking you to steward your atmosphere. Love isn't always proven by staying close. Sometimes it's proven by honoring distance. The right connections don't control you. They propel you. They speak to your future without competing with your present. Imagine your environment as a glowing field around you. Each person is a spark orbiting your life. Some sparks shine in sync with you, strengthening your faith. Others vibrate in a dissonant frequency that interferes with your clarity. It's not about eliminating everyone. It's about reorganizing your personal constellation. Napoleon Hill taught that the mind is molded by continuous association. Spiritually, that means your atmospheres determine your altitudes. You cannot fly in air polluted with chronic doubt. Faith breathes best in spaces where hope, truth, and purpose are shared. So build your conscious circle. People who pray with you, not just for you. People who rejoice when you obey God, even if that means you take a path they don't fully understand. Friends who speak to your future, not your fears. Mentors who remind you of the promise when your emotions drop. Those alliances are the satellites of your mission. Ask yourself today, which 5 voices are shaping my vision without me realizing it? Do I leave those interactions with more faith or less peace? The answers will be your map. And if you discover that certain orbits no longer move with you, thank them and release them with blessing. There is no real rupture when there is honor, only redirection of destiny. Remember, no sun can shine fully under someone else's shadow forever. Your light needs room. When you choose intentionally who's allowed to orbit close to you, you are protecting your spiritual expansion, because whoever surrounds themselves with faith inevitably begins to reflect light. And when that light joins with others, purpose turns into a galaxy. Don't walk alone. Walk with those who vibrate in the same frequency as your calling. There are moments when the soul doesn't need more content. It needs an anchor, not a hollow routine, a sacred space where your mind lines up with your spirit and your day bows before God before it even begins. I call that space your 7 minutes of divine sync. It's not a technique. It's a daily conversation between your energy and the universal mind, between you and God. Every sunrise brings a unique frequency. Those who learn to tune into it walk in harmony with the purpose of that day. The first minutes after waking are a powerful threshold. Your mind hasn't yet recalled your worries, and your soul is still open to heaven's instruction. In that window, the universe is malleable, and your words become spiritual commands. Minute 1, silence and presence. Sit up or stay lying down, but let your breath flow through you like a gentle river. Take 3 slow, deep breaths and whisper inside, I am here, Father. Let my mind be your space. Imagine a blue sphere of light expanding from your chest, cleansing every leftover thought from yesterday. That light doesn't erase. It transforms. Feel peace return to sit on the throne of your mind. Minute 2, recognition. Now, without speaking out loud, bring to mind 3 things you're truly grateful for. Don't do it mechanically. Feel them. Gratitude is not a word. It's a frequency. At that moment, your energetic field begins to vibrate in abundance. Napoleon Hill would say, gratitude fixes the mind on prosperity and expels lack. Every grateful emotion is an energetic seed that will germinate throughout your day. Minute 3, mental alignment. Choose just one intention for today. Not 5, not 10. 1. Clarity, peace, courage, focus, obedience. Say it with calm authority. Today, my mind cooperates with my purpose. Visualize that word floating above you like a constellation. That image will be your compass for the rest of the day. Minute 4, tuning with the word. Open your Bible or recall a verse you love. Don't read it like a task. Read it like water. Maybe today it's, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and He will make your paths straight. As you repeat it, feel your breathing sinking with the rhythm of those words. You're not just reading text. You're activating an eternal vibration. Minute 5, declarations of power. Now speak declarations that reprogram your subconscious mind. Say softly, my faith attracts the right opportunities. Provision recognizes me. My environment cooperates with my destiny. I walk in certainty because heaven has already gone ahead of me. These are not empty affirmations. They are commands. Your subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is spoken with emotion and faith. Every phrase uttered from conviction is stamped into invisible matter. Minute 6, guided visualization. Close your eyes and imagine the day ahead as a path made of light that turns on under your feet. With every step, see kind faces, see doors opening, see situations that used to stress you dissolving into calm. Feel your breathing becoming rhythmic, light, confident. The future is not coming to you. You are creating the route with your vibration. Minute 7, surrender and blessing. To finish, place your hands over your chest and say, I will not walk alone. My spirit and my mind move in agreement with God. Feel the thread of energy rising from your heart toward heaven. That's not imagination. That's connection. For a few seconds, let that energy expand like an inner sunrise. At that point, you are fully synchronized. mind, emotion, and faith. You don't need long rituals. The soul doesn't ask for hours. It asks for presence. 7 minutes are enough to command your day, to obey your purpose. Every morning you practice this. You are training your mind to operate on a divine frequency. Do it for 7 days straight. And watch. You'll notice that things start to flow with less resistance. Answers arrive before the questions are fully formed. Conversations feel deeper, more meaningful. Life itself feels like an invisible orchestra, and you find yourself walking in rhythm with it. Napoleon Hill would summarize it this way: he who directs his mind at dawn governs his destiny before noon. This is the principle. Don't start your day on autopilot. Start it in harmony. Because when the mind syncs with God, the entire universe cooperates with your steps. When God changes your season, He also shifts your inner name. I'm not talking about letters. I'm talking about vibration. Before, you defined yourself by what you survived. Now, you define yourself by what you carry. Many people pray for a new path, but keep speaking with the identity of yesterday. You can't step into a new land wearing the clothes of the desert. There are thoughts, words, and attitudes that no longer fit your calling. When the soul grows, the language must grow with it. You no longer say, I can't. Now you say, I'm learning. You no longer repeat, nothing good ever happens to me. You now declare, I am tuned into the frequency of goodness. This is not cliché self-help. It is spiritual reprogramming. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between a prayer and an affirmation. It obeys the emotion with which you instruct it. Napoleon Hill said that the image you hold of yourself determines how the world treats you. That's why God always works on your identity before He places you in a new territory. It's not that the miracle hasn't arrived. It's that the old version of you wouldn't know how to hold it. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. That doesn't reflect your body, but your energy. Behind you, you see everything you've already released. Fears, guilt, voices that made you doubt yourself. In front of you, a luminous silhouette appears. Calm, firm, steady-eyed. That is your version, aligned with purpose. It is not a stranger. It's you, without the costumes of the past. Now whisper softly, I accept my new identity. I no longer define myself by pain, but by purpose. I no longer drag my story. I honor it, and I release it. In the spiritual realm, every declaration of identity is like putting on a new garment. You clothe yourself in confidence, in peace, in coherence, and the world feels it. Opportunities sense it. People respond to it. Rooms rearrange around it. Ask yourself honestly, what thoughts am I still wearing that no longer represent me? What labels must I drop to walk lightly into what's next? When you answer, your soul makes a sacred click. It's like changing skin without pain. You suddenly realize that freedom was never about running from your past, but about remembering who you were before you forgot yourself. The Spirit whispers, I didn't transform you to make you someone else. I transformed you so you could finally be you without fear. So from today forward, walk with your head lifted, not in pride, but in certainty that you have already been chosen. Purpose is not begged for. It is embodied, and whoever wears purpose never again feels like they are missing something because they carry everything. On the inside, there is a moment when faith stops being contemplation and becomes movement. It's not enough to have clarity. Heaven is waiting for earthly resonance. Purpose becomes real when intention descends from thought onto your calendar. Over the next 3 days, the universe will conspire to help you anchor what you have just understood. These won't be random days. They'll be 72 hours of spiritual consolidation. Don't look for fireworks. Watch the subtle miracles, the timing of events, the exact person who calls, the quiet certainty guiding your hands. Day 1, inner order. The mind aligns with instruction before action. You need clear territory. Mental chaos is fog for the soul. So the first day is not about doing more. It's about organizing your frequency. Silence the noise. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Distance yourself from drama and distractions. Every silence you create becomes an altar where direction can descend. Write down 3 decisions you've been avoiding. Don't overanalyze. Just name them. When you name them, they lose the power to confuse you. At the end of the day, repeat. Clarity visits me when I rest in God. This phrase re-educates your nervous system. It teaches your body. That order is not pressure. It is breathing. Day 2, visible movement. Now we translate intention into structure. The mind is clearer. Now it's time to sketch the map. Not a rigid plan, but a living architecture. Do 3 tangible actions that give shape to your vision. If your purpose is to start a business, register the name, outline the idea, sketch the logo. If your purpose is to heal a relationship, write a letter you may or may not send yet. If your purpose is to expand your service, clean and organize the space from which you will serve. Each physical gesture communicates to heaven. I am available. Napoleon Hill would call this auto-suggested action, the body obeying the idea, and the idea responding. With results, as you work, feel time becoming an ally. Time bends. For a mind aligned with purpose, 15 minutes of conscious action are worth more than 3 days of hesitation. Before you sleep, write 1 sentence in your journal. Today, my intention took form in matter. That is the energetic signature of someone who has walked out of the mental maze. Day 3, confirmation and expansion. The 3rd day is about spiritual observation. This is not the day for forcing. It's the day for noticing. You'll see small signs, a message you weren't expecting, a repeated number, a phrase that confirms what you felt. These are not idols. They're reminders. You're in sync now. Take 3 simple acts of expansion. Give, not as a transaction, but as a declaration of abundance. Give time. Give a word. Give attention. Give something that tells heaven, I am not in scarcity. Thank, out loud. Name what has shifted in these 72 hours, even if it seems small. Gratitude is the evidence of mature faith. Close with prayer. Thank you, Lord, because my hands execute while my spirit receives. At that moment, the cycle closes. Thought became word. Word became action. Action became purpose. When you honor this simple plan, something quiet happens. Your consciousness rises. You stop waiting for life to surprise you. You start collaborating with it. You understand that manifestation is not magic. It is divine administration of time. Purpose needs structure if it's going to stay lit. That's why, every 72 hours, you can return to this process, not as pressure, but as tuning your instrument. Consistency is not cold discipline. It is loyalty to your destiny. Napoleon Hill said, "Purpose without action is only a wish. Action without purpose is only movement. But when purpose and action embrace, the mountain moves." Today, heaven is looking at you with that expectation that you will turn your prayers into calendar steps, your visions into decisions, your minutes into miracles. Don't be afraid to start small. The universe doesn't measure the size of your step. It reads the direction of your heart. Take the first gesture, and the rest of the plan will continue to reveal itself as you walk. When everything falls quiet again, that's where the real echo of purpose begins. Because legacy is not just what you leave in people's hands. It's what you leave in their consciousness. Legacy isn't always seen. It's felt. It vibrates. It continues speaking, even when you're no longer there physically. God did not place you in this generation by accident. He positioned you here in this time because your voice, your story, and your process are part of the design. Someone needs to hear how you doubted and still moved, how you shook with fear and still obeyed. That quiet testimony will become someone else's faith tomorrow. Napoleon Hill said, that inspired thought carries on long after the body is gone. Your words, your decisions, your way of acting leave invisible fingerprints in the collective field. When you choose to forgive, you are inspiring thousands you will never meet. When you choose to get up again, you are holding up the hope of generations that aren't even born yet. Look at your life from above. For a moment, see a network of lights connected by invisible threads. Every soul you've touched glows with a different tone. Some encounters were brief sparks. Others became steady beacons. But all of them together form a constellation that carries your energetic signature. This is your legacy, not titles, not numbers, not applause. Legacy is the spiritual impact your existence leaves in the memory of the world. You may never hear thank you from many of the people you bless. It doesn't matter. Heaven writes down every unseen act, the message you send, without asking for anything in return. The prayer you whisper for someone who will never know. The kindness you show when no one is watching. When your time on this earth is over, the final judgment won't be about punishment. It'll be about meaning. And the divine voice will remind you of every time you chose love over pride, faith over fear, consistency over doubt. Your mission is not to build monuments. Your mission is to raise frequencies, to be a transmitter of hope. In the middle of the noise, a living reminder that God's presence still walks among us. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your steps, leaving footprints of light on the ground. Every right decision, every aligned word, every wise silence, all of it forming an invisible map. Others will follow. You don't need to see it all. You just need to keep creating from faith. Napoleon Hill believed that every inspired thought is immortal. So every time you choose to think in love, you are writing eternity. Before you sleep tonight, declare calmly, my life leaves light, not shadow. My purpose stretches beyond time. I am part of the divine legacy God is building through me. And when you wake up tomorrow, remember this. You're not starting from zero. You are continuing a story, written in the language of the brave. Those who believe without seeing, those who sow in silence, knowing that one day, the world will bloom with their faith. Your legacy is already in motion. You're living evidence. That faith is not just preached. It is embodied. And as long as even one person breathes hope because of your life, you will remain alive in the heart of God. If this message ignited something inside you, don't hide it. Give this video a like as a symbolic act of gratitude for the light you just received. Subscribe to Napoleon Inspires so we can keep walking together through this journey of faith, mind, and purpose. Write in the comments one sentence you feel in your heart today, your declaration of change, your prayer, or your personal covenant with God, and share this message with someone who needs to remember that heaven is still moving pieces in their favor. Because when you expand the word, the message doesn't just grow, it multiplies in blessing.